And what's up, hockey fans, and welcome to episode number 82 of Marty's Illegal Stick Hockey Podcast. We're recording on Tuesday, June 21st, 2022. We took a week off last week, but I just had a lot going on.
Yeah.
A lot going on. It was just hard to fit everything in, so I said, well, you know what? You guys deserve a break. So I says, darn it. I says, I'm going to give it to you.
I had to finish off the drumsticks.
Yes. Well, and you didn't pass out. That's a good thing.
I may have.
It's unbelievable.
I just don't remember.
As long as it wasn't when I was on duty. That's
Oh, really? Oh, geez.
Oh, boy. But anyways, we got a lot to talk about since we did take a week off. A lot going on in the hockey world that we got to tackle here. But first of all, of course, I want to bring in my esteemed panel. To my left, my trusty sidekick, the man who just makes everything go around on this show, the master behind the scenes, Mr. Dave the Save Warner. How are you, pal?
I'm doing great.
Did you see the good news?
Which one?
About the Comets.
Oh, yes. October 17th opening?
October 17th opening night. And today they announced that Captain Ryan Schmelzer, Merrick Smittens, and Sammy LaBerge have been re-signed. They'll be back
awesome.
next season.
That I missed.
I'm so happy to see that.
Oh, that's awesome.
It is. It's great news. And I tell you, I can't wait for October already because, you know, the way the weather's been up here in upstate New York, it might as well be October.
They could be playing hockey outside right now.
Exactly.
Basically.
This is sad. It's
Good
June
Lord.
21st, and I've got a long sleeve shirt on.
Yeah. And I've got the heat on.
Yeah, I can tell.
So, because it's warm in here, isn't it?
It is, but you know what, though? That's okay because it's cold outside.
I know. All right. Anyway.
And coming to us live via satellite from his lair in Annapolis, Maryland, he is the one, the only Drew Bray. Drew, what's happening?
Great to see you guys. Lots going on.
There is, and I love that hat. I absolutely love that hat.
Bringing back the old school.
You know what? I always thought that they should never have changed the colors of that logo.
Yeah.
That silver and black NHL logo, to me, it's orange and black. It always should be. It should never have been changed. And that's it. That's all I got to say about that.
Same with the All-Star jerseys. Should be.
Oh my God, I know.
Conference.
I know, right? It's like, why are you messing with perfection? What is going on here?
For sure.
But anyways, like I said, we have got a lot to tackle today. First and foremost, let's get this out of the way because, of course, it's what's on everybody's mind. The Stanley Cup Finals are going on. We didn't get a chance to talk about it last week because, of course, we were off last week. But now, as it stands after last night, the Colorado Avalanche are leading the Tampa Bay Lightning 2-1. It looked like at first, those first two games in Colorado, the first game was close. The second game was a blowout. And so everybody's starting to think, oh, jeepers, here we go. This might be a sweep. Well, we got back to Tampa Bay last night, and the defending champs showed why they are indeed the defending champs. So, Drew, what did you see out of that game and in this series in general?
Well, it's interesting because, I know that I texted you during the game, and I'm like, they don't give the Stanley Cup out after two games when you're holding serve. Basically, you're winning at home like you're supposed to. Right? That's what you're supposed to do. And honestly, I didn't think that first game deserved to go to overtime. I think Colorado should have won it in regulation.
Sure.
They were a way better team. However, when you're the champs, you do what you got to do to get there, right? Game two, of course, they got absolutely destroyed. But even the start of game three, Colorado was dominating that game early.
Yeah.
I mean, they had the one goal called off because of the offsides call. But generally, they were controlling the pace of play. And, one of the things that I also had discussed with you is like that game one, it was so soft. I mean, it was 10-ply.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to hit anyone, right? I'm like, and that totally favors Colorado's game. Like, if you're not going to lay the lumber into those guys, they are going to have a field day. And I thought that last night's game, I thought Tampa did a little bit better job controlling the physical game. And that's what they have to do to slow this team down. And I think in the past, Tampa was the team that benefited from not playing a physical game because neither of these teams are particularly physical, but someone has to win that battle.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to go back to that offsides goal that got called back, that first one. Obviously, from the camera angles that we saw, it looked like it was the right call. Mm-hmm. But you know what I wonder? So the NHL has about 1,400 different camera angles set up, especially in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah.
they have an overhead cam over each goal. My question is, why can't they put like 2 cameras over each blue line? That solves a lot of problems right there.
They might end up looking at that, because if you look at baseball, they're now putting enough cameras to call the strike zone automatically and relay that to the umpire in his ear, whether it's a ball or a strike. So you can see that's a more difficult call than just whether somebody's across a blue line.
Right.
So,
right. Yeah, it's more binary with the blue line, right?
Exactly.
Here it is.
Exactly.
The strike zone is kind of, and
don't even get me started on the K zone stuff.
I'm not saying I'm for it. I'm just because I think that the bad calls are part of the game.
Right. Exactly.
So,
but anyways, I mean, that's baseball though. We'll talk about that some other time.
Well, we were on the blue line.
True. Blue line, third baseline. What's the difference, right?
Yeah.
Actually, I'm proud of you because you now know that. A year ago, you wouldn't.
What, the blue line?
The difference between a third baseline and a blue line.
Oh no, God, don't. I was not that bad off.
Young Jedi, you are doing good.
Do not believe a word he's saying, because that is not true. I was not that far off.
But no, I realize that there's costs involved with all that, of course, like with anything. But I mean, because you got to be careful about going like on social media, especially like with offside call, because people can just like cherry pick all these different, take a screenshot and we'll see. But the problem is that was taken at like a 45-degree angle. So obviously the eyes play tricks on you sometimes, right? So, I mean, I think just you want to end all this, put 2 cameras up so that you can cover like each half of the blue line, right?
Yeah.
Go in there, you got all this, you know more about it, all the pixels and high definition and all that. They certainly can do it now.
I think they can do it, yeah.
As far as the technology.
Although I have to say that just like in general, like the instant replay for stuff like that, like kind of bugs me a bit, because 6 of one, half dozen of the other, that offsides part of that goal had nothing to do with why the puck ends up in the net.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's true. You're right.
And and I know that we're trying to play by the rules, but just like Dave just mentioned, when it comes to baseball, like there's something to be said for like the linesman
human error.
Missed a really close call.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And it didn't affect play. Ultimately it led to a goal, but let's say that play does not lead to a goal. Right? Let's say it leads to a shot into the glass and Tampa clears the puck. Is anybody caring that the puck was actually offside for a second? It's only because there's a goal.
Tampa Bay fans do.
Yeah.
I will tell you that. They cared a lot.
Yeah. So I find those calls frustrating, even when they go in my team's favor, just because I'm like, 5 minutes ago when they entered the zone, like they were offsides. I'm like, but we've been playing all this time, and it just gets into a gray area that's weird.
You watch, Drew, by the time our kids are our age, because they got the chips implanted into the puck already, they're gonna put some kind of sensor at the blue line, and the puck went, the bell went off or whatever. So,
but if that's the case, then that's fine. But that means that every single time that happens, we stop the play and we go to something else, right? Because if it was offsides, you should have stopped it then. All right, face-off comes out, you're on the dot on that side of the ice, and then that's it. Like, don't let me play until I have something really good happen to my team.
I know.
Take it away. It's like having the rug pulled out from under you.
Exactly. But, it's so, like we said, Colorado wins their first 2 at home. Tampa Bay turns the tide last night. Drew, this is kind of eerily like the Rangers-Tampa Bay series, where the Rangers won their first 2 games at home. They look pretty darn good doing it. And then Tampa Bay turns around game 3, and we all know what happened from there. They won 4 straight to advance to the final. So let me ask you a question. Could the same thing happen here?
Absolutely not. The Avs are not.
I didn't think he was going to. I didn't think he was.
It did not take him long to answer that either.
I didn't think he was going to do the not part.
Right, and the Avs are not the Rangers, right? And I think that, and I'm sorry because I know the last time I was on here, I kept swallowing Shesterkin's name. I always want to put an extra sh in there for some reason. I want to say.
I think that's why a lot of people call him Shesty.
That's even worse.
Anyway,
I know, right? Sounds like a cheap soda.
Right, that team
or hooker. I'm not sure which. I couldn't help myself.
Where's your drum roll, Dave?
I'll go with that.
There you go.
Shot, yeah.
So that Rangers team was, and I've said it since the start. I think that they're going to be a good team in the future. Shesterkin played out of his mind, but they were out kicking the coverage to even be in that series with Tampa Bay. I mean, they played amazing in the first 2 games. Shesterkin kept them in it, and they just couldn't break through on Vasilevsky. Now, the difference between that Rangers series and now what we're looking at with the Colorado series is basically Vasilevsky's not playing bad. He gave up 7 goals the other night and played amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, how many one-on-one breakaways did he stop? How many amazing saves did he have? How many amazing saves did he have last night? We talked about that one where it was a rebound and he shot across the crease.
Yeah, against JT Compher.
Bottom of the skate. Vasilevsky is still playing out of his mind, even though he lost a game 7-0. The difference is the quality and number of chances. The Rangers cannot match that firepower that Colorado is bringing from everywhere. That's why it's so hard to pick who's going to score for Colorado.
Right.
Because they're so stupid deep and they're so unselfish.
Yeah.
Like they'll look at a clean look at the goal and dish it to someone who's got a wide open net. That is the difference, I think, between the Rangers and the Avs in this series. And I think that I'd still think Colorado wins it. I think that it was anticipated that Tampa Bay would win last night. I didn't know that they would win as big as they did. That was impressive to put up 6.
Sure.
But here's a question that I'll posit to you.
Okay.
If you're John Cooper, why don't you pull Vasilevsky when
last
he's down?
Night?
No, not last night.
I was going to say,
the game before when he's down 4-0, 5-0, 6-0. Those aren't empty netters. He's getting beat.
No, and I don't understand that one, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, who am I to second guess a coach that's won 2 cups in a row? But could you imagine what the backlash would have been? He's leaving Vasilevsky in, and Vasilevsky gets hurt in the 3rd period, say on a stupid collision in front of the net, or he pulls a hamstring or something trying to make a save because the guy was getting shelled, and then all of a sudden he's out for the series. And in a blowout game that you got nothing to gain because they're not coming back against Colorado. Forget that.
And that's one that like is kind of a head scratcher. But then you're like, goalies are a special breed mentally.
Yeah. His ego or his whole
his confidence, right? His confidence.
Yeah.
Like,
but you know what though?
A backup. It's not his fault. I mean,
no.
Like I said, he lost 7-0, but it wasn't because of a lack of great play on his part.
And as a pro, you have to, if you get pulled, you get pulled. Yeah. And if it's really that traumatizing for him to get pulled, then that's up to Cooper to say to him, look, this is not your fault. As a matter of fact, I'm doing this because I don't want you to get hurt in a game that we're not going to come back and win. And I need you for the rest of this series.
Yes, exactly.
Right? So
yeah, that one was a head scratcher for me because normally, obviously regular season, he's given him the hook, not because he's playing poorly, but again, because of the risk of injury or something else that could potentially happen to him in a game that he has no chance of winning. I understand that they're fragile egos and fragile emotions about getting pulled, especially in the playoffs. You're not trying to create a goalie controversy, but I just thought, I was like, he's not going to pull him. 4-0, not going to pull him. 5-0, not going to pull him.
No, I agree. I was wondering what he was doing, but speaking of goaltending, I tell you what, if there is one thing that can derail this Avs train, it's their goaltending.
Yeah, it's really funny because just before Tampa started to really put goals in the net last night, I was thinking nobody's talking about Darcy Kuemper. Like, he's having a quiet, decent playoff. He's not, he's not out there, blowing the horn. I'm the greatest goalie ever. He's just solid. He's making the saves he's supposed to save. Right. He's not making incredibly flashy saves like Vasilevsky or Shesterkin did throughout the previous round. He's just solid, but he hasn't really been tested that much, right? Colorado's been so dominant and their defense is so good. He doesn't face a lot of high quality shots.
Sure.
Generally. But I think you're right. I think that is probably their Achilles heel. I think if you can get to Kuemper, you can stay in the series. And I wouldn't put it past John Cooper to have his boys just say, hey, we're slinging it on net from everywhere.
Yeah,
Put
I
the
agree.
puck on net.
I agree. And, hindsight is, of course, 2020. But, I was talking about this at the trade deadline, a few months back. Don't you think Marc-Andre Fleury would have been an awful good fit for the Colorado Avalanche?
Yeah.
And really, it cost the Wild a first-round pick to get him. So if you're the Avalanche and it's Stanley Cup or bust, all right, so you're giving up a first-round pick. Well, it's almost like a high second-round pick.
Yeah.
Right? So, what's the difference? If that's what you need to get over the hump,
yeah.
But again, it's all hindsight's 2020. One last thought on this series, and then we'll move on. The Devin Tays hit on Nikita Kucherov, dirty or not? Because there's been an awful lot of back and forth on social media about that today.
I don't know. Is it any less dirty than Corey Perry kneeling on the dude's ankle to get up? Right? At least that play happened in the course of a hockey play.
Exactly.
People are playing hard in the finals. I'm guessing during the regular season, he probably would have faced some supplemental discipline, but because it's the Stanley Cup Finals, I don't think that he probably will.
No.
I would
it looked like they got tangled up.
Yeah.
Really.
And so, yeah, I believe that the discourse is warranted. Like, I think that there's probably, people who are like, especially if you're a fan of one team or the other, you're going to come down on that really hard, one side or the other. For me, I'm like, it's playoff hockey. Like,
yeah, it didn't look like he really did it. Again, from that angle, it looked like they got tangled up. And the reason anybody is making a big deal out of this at all is because Kucherov ended up leaving the game, even though he was able to get up and go after Tays.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know exactly just how injured he really is.
Yeah,
but
that was something like all of a sudden you have to limp off the ice, yet you're chasing someone around the ice.
Yeah, and then just before that is when he hit Josh Manson Kucherov hit Josh Manson from behind and put his head into the board. So. Yeah. This whole, that was a dirty hit on Cooch. You know what? You might want to slow down a little bit on that, okay?
Exactly.
Just, accept it as playoff hockey and move on. So let's close this out. Drew, you're saying Colorado pulls this off. 6 games?
Yeah,
that's what I'm going with.
I'm still thinking 6. But to be honest, after the second game, I was like, maybe it's going to be 5. I knew it wouldn't be a sweep.
No, I didn't think it'd be either.
But I'm still sticking to 6. The champs are the champs, and like we've talked about with the Rangers series and other series, if you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. And Tampa Bay is without a doubt the man. They continue to surprise me with how good, how creative they are, and of course you have Vasilevsky as a backstop, so you're going to be in every game.
Absolutely.
So I still think Colorado in 6. Although the Burakovsky injury is very interesting.
Yeah, it is
because of his contributions early in this series.
Sure.
I haven't seen anything today. Are they saying that he's going to come back?
Not a word.
Yeah, interesting.
Of course, it's par for the course of the NHL, right?
Yeah, upper body injury.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like a national secret, right?
Yeah, day to day.
Yeah. Dave the Save, what do you think?
I'm going to stick with Tampa Bay, saying 7 and 2 reasons. 2 reasons.
Okay.
Goaltending.
Mm-hmm.
I think Vasilevsky is significantly better. And I think that they showed last night that they could shut down the speed of the Avalanche.
Interesting.
And so just on those, otherwise I'd say they're even, and then it could be a coin toss. Sorry.
Yeah. Hey, well, we understand what you were getting.
Yeah, I know. Something.
As long as you didn't say it was a puck toss.
Puck toss. It's all pucked up. Oh,
but that, you know what? That is a good point he brings up, because Tampa Bay beat Colorado by basically taking their own game to them.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's a very valid point.
Yeah.
See, I know my young Jedi. Look at how much he's grown. Listen, every show he makes me more and more proud.
I'm telling you, you dangle ice cream in front of me and I'm good.
6 are unbelievable, Dave.
Oh boy. Well, moving right along, guys.
Wait, what do you got, Scott? What's your prediction?
I said Colorado in 6.
You're still sticking with it?
Yeah, I'm sticking with it.
Wait, I want to back up just a second. Sorry to slow the train down. Going back to the previous series, because we were off last week,
mm-hmm.
I thought for certain that we were going to hear that Panarin was nursing an injury because of how invisible he was in that series.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. You're absolutely right.
It turns out he wasn't.
No.
He was just bad.
Nope. And for the first time ever, I've heard a little bit of grumblings from Rangerland about, well, maybe he's not worth $11 million a year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, coming in, he definitely was. I mean, he was, from Chicago to Columbus to here, he was a superstar, a sniper. He was involved. The puck would find him, and he was absent during that series. Honestly, that could have been the difference maker, is if he had stepped up and played well. And I was shocked to find out that he was not nursing an injury. Because you get that report the day after, and you're like, oh, this guy's playing on a broken leg. This guy's got his arm in a cast when he's not at the rink. Yeah. And Panarin was like, no, I'm fine. That's bad.
That was just terrible. Sorry. It's all good.
Just something to keep an eye on there in Rangerland.
I'm still making $11 million a year. I'm good.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry to derail. We can go.
No,
back.
You're good. No, I'm actually glad you brought that up, because it is a good point. It really is. But tonight, guys, is the rest of the NHL awards show. They've already announced like half the awards, but tonight's the big ones coming to us from Las Vegas, Nevada. We're going to concentrate on 4 of the awards because, like I said, they've already announced the Jack Adams, the Lady Byng, the Selke, the Masterson, a few other ones. For one thing, I want to ask you guys, because they always used to do it all one night.
Yep.
Do you like that, just kind of stringing it out and then having the big guns, say, so to speak, go on one night? Or would you rather have it all together?
I would definitely rather have it all together, but I would also rather not have it during the playoffs.
Yeah.
Right?
Would you wait till after, or what would you do?
Until after in the summer.
Yeah.
And I mean, give these guys, especially the guys who are going deep in the playoffs, give them a chance to get out, play a few rounds of golf, just relax. Sure. And then invite them all back to Vegas. They're going to have a great time. They're going to bring their families. They're going to see their buddies.
Yeah.
Like, I think that makes a lot more sense. And let's do all the awards. Like, I do
not
have to see.
Me too.
I do not have to see Patrice Bergeron win another Selke.
I know.
Like, I mean, we're just voting. Like, we're just checking a box at that point, right?
Yeah.
Like, did Bergeron do anything this season that made him stand out as a defensive player? Like, yes, he's consistently consistent.
Right.
Both ways. But like at this point, it's like, do you remember the Eddie Murphy movie where he ran as like political office based on somebody else's name? No. He ran as somebody named Jeff Davis, who Jefferson Davis was the guy who ran before, but he just did it on name. I think people just see his name, see Bergeron's name on the ballot and just check the box.
Yeah.
Who else is it?
I think I remember that movie.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You're just like, honey, who do we vote for in this race? Oh yeah, Bergeron.
Yeah. Because now everybody just wants to know who got the second most votes in the Selke. That's all everybody wants to know.
So it gets a little ridiculous with some of the awards. I mean, some of the other ones are a little more interesting. You look at the Jack Adams and you're like, I mean, where's John Cooper in that mix? I mean, clearly he is not just a great coach, but he is making adjustments so that his team wins. Mm-hmm. He has this attitude, like it has really impressed me during this playoffs. He's not a panicky guy. He makes changes to get his team to win. Gallant makes sense being in there for what he had done with that Rangers team to turn them around. They thought they were going to be in the midst of a middling rebuild.
I'm going to disagree with that 120% as far as the rebuild goes. I'm not saying that Gallant didn't deserve to be in the mix.
Right. You've never believed the rebuild.
Yeah. No, let's be completely honest here, right? I know that's the fun narrative, right? Oh, well, the Rangers were in a rebuild and they went to the conference finals. Baloney. The rebuild was over as soon as they brought Panarin in. Rebuild over. And then Adam Fox winning the Vezina, the Norris Trophy last year.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So now you've got Panarin, you've got Fox, you've got Zibanejad, who is a legit number one center and a star in this league. Okay.
Kreider, veteran presence.
Exactly. Okay. You have got a lot of players on that team that would definitely be more than welcome on other teams. Don't tell me that team wasn't going to contend this year for at least for a playoff.
I'll tell you what.
There's no way.
If Shesterkin doesn't step up, they might not make the playoffs.
Yeah, maybe.
Given those skaters, which, I mean, you have a Norris Trophy winner, you have a legit number one center, and Zibanejad is way more than a number one center. I mean, he's a sniper, he's a playmaker.
Right.
Like, he is a legit superstar in this league.
Right.
But, I mean, I think that Shesterkin was the surprise that the Rangers hoped he would be, but I don't think anyone anticipated how good he would be.
Right, right. But, I mean, but again, even so, all I'm saying is that, usually when a team's in a rebuild, like, well, they've got these young stars that we're waiting for them to step up, and they might be a year or two away.
Yep. Yeah, I think that
the Rangers have legit star power. There's no rebuild's over. Sorry, guys.
I think that they're kind of selling that narrative.
Yeah, because really it sounds good. It's a feel-good story, but sorry. Seen that movie before.
You got too many good dudes that would
exactly
on other squads. Yeah,
it's like the whole this independent film that came out of nowhere with stars like Tom Cruise in it. It's like, oh yeah, okay, sure. But anyways, so since we got the awards show set up the way it is, like I said, 4 of the big ones are going to be announced tonight. So I figured it'd be kind of fun if we went ahead and jumped the gun and picked our own, because we're about 4 hours ahead when they're going to do it, right? So let's start with the Calder Trophy. Now, the Calder Trophy is awarded to the Rookie of the Year. I know there's an exact wording for it. I didn't write it down. I don't care. Everybody knows it's the Rookie of the Year, right? And the finalists are from the Detroit Red Wings, defenseman Mo Seider. He played in 82 games, scored 7 goals, had 43 assists for 50 points. He had 34 penalty minutes, and he was a -9 on the season. Then there's winger Trevor Zegras. He played in 75 games, had 23 goals, 38 assists, 61 points, 50 penalty minutes. He was a -21 and created all kind of controversy with his Michigan goals. And last but not least is forward Michael Bunting of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Bunting played in 79 games. He had 23 goals, 40 assists, 63 points, 80 penalty minutes, and he was a +27. So we're going to go to Dave the Save first.
Oh, jeez.
I wanted to see the look on his face.
Yeah.
Dave the Save, of those 3 I just mentioned, who should win the Calder Trophy?
Bunting.
Very interesting. What's interesting about Bunting, too, is that he's actually 26 years old.
Really?
He's like one of the – he's actually right on the threshold, because you can be up to 26 years old to win the Calder. Anything over that, sorry, you're too old. You're disqualified.
Old guy.
Yep.
But – no, he actually had a very good season played on Austin Matthews' line. I mean, that certainly helps. But he did. He had a fantastic season. Drew, who do you think?
All right. So I think Bunting is the friend of the prom queen. I think that his numbers tell you that he should win the trophy. But again, I'm pretty sure that I'd be +20 if I were playing a full season on Austin Matthews' line. Right,
a friend of the prom queen. I love it.
Yeah,
I like
Zegras because of his numbers, and you know what? I love the Michigan goals. I love he's talking to his buddy, and I'm going to flip it to you, and you can bat it out of the air into the goal. I love his creativity. I'm sure you probably hate him because you're a Kings fan, but I love watching this guy. I love seeing the highlights every night. Now they don't give the Calder Trophy to somebody who's on SportsCenter every night. They don't care about that. But I also like Mo Seider. Like, if you watch his play through the neutral zone and in the defensive zone, this guy is a player. I mean, he plays like a veteran. His numbers betray him by the fact that he doesn't have big flashy numbers. He's just a great player. I don't think that the Calder committee is gonna give it to Mo. I don't think that he probably doesn't deserve it. I mean, he's going to be a longtime player in this league. He's going to be really good, but I think Zegras gets the nod here, probably for his flashiness. And Bunting only doesn't get it because he's not flashy. He's the opposite, right? Although his plus, what was it, +26, +29?
Well, let's see, he was a +27.
Yeah, I mean, that's impressive, but. I'll go back to the days when the Capitals' Jeff Schultz led the league in plus minus.
Yeah, plus minus doesn't mean much anymore. That's
right. I mean, that's impressive, but I think Zegras gets it.
Okay,
so that's writing this down, these picks down.
Actually, you don't have any paper. That's right.
You got
that's right. Okay, all right. I'll write it down. Fine. Dave Bunting, Drew Zegras, and now I'm going to give you my pick. So let me preface this by saying that just because Zegras plays for the Ducks, I don't hate him because you know what? He was a standout for Team USA, right? So go USA, and he's a New York State guy. So
that's right. Yeah.
From New York State, right? So it's almost like he's the home state guy, right? Yeah. Am I a big fan of the Michigan goals? Yeah, they're fun, they're flashy. I'm waiting for somebody to throw a shoulder into somebody trying one of these Michigan goals one of these times.
Right, but that's what
I've been waiting for.
Tortorella says.
Right. It's like, wow, how has this not happened yet? Whatever, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Right? And Zegras' numbers are extremely impressive. However, defense is one of the hardest positions in this league to come through as a rookie. It really is. Yeah. And let's be honest, I know Sider played 7 more games than Zegras. Zegras only had 11 more points than him. And this is a guy who's just all offense. He's really not known for his defense or anything like that. Mo Sider put up 7 goals and 43 assists as a number 1 defenseman, 21 years old, by the way, on a very bad Detroit Red Wings team.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's not like he's got other than Dylan Larkin, Bertuzzi, maybe Lucas Raymond to a point. He doesn't have a lot of help there yet. I'm going to tell you right now, and I wrote an article for Inside the Rink about this. The Detroit Red Wings are going to be very good in a couple of years. Trust me on this one.
Yep.
Rebuilding year.
Yeah. Now that's a true rebuild, right? Yeah. You're right. Exactly. See the young Jedi. I love it.
Yeah.
That's a true rebuild. You're right. But for him to do what he did, like I said, on a Red Wings team that struggled for a lot of this season, I got to go with Sider. I'm sorry. Just because, like I said, especially as a rookie, defense is so much harder to play than forward. It really is. And especially given Zegras is on the wing for most of the season, there's not a lot of defensive responsibilities there. You know, what he did was great, you know, as far as numbers go. And I'm sure the league probably wants him to win it because, I mean, he's one of the upcoming flashy superstars, and it's going to look good to put that in his trophy case. Yep. But for me, my pick is Mo Sider. So
all right, so we got him spread out on the Calder.
We're all spread out here. I like it. Next up is the Vezina Trophy. The Vezina Trophy is given to the best goaltender in the NHL. And the finalists are, of course, Igor Shesterkin. Igor played in 53 games, had a record of 36, 13, and 4. He had a 207 GAA with a 935 save percentage and 6 shutouts. Next up is Jacob Markstrom from the Calgary Flames. He played 63 games, had a 37, 15, and 9 record, a 2.22 GAA, and a 922 save percentage. And last but not least, from the Nashville Predators, UC Saros, who played in 67 games, had a record of 38, 25, and 3, had a 2.64 GAA, and a 918 save percentage to go with 4 shutouts. So, Drew, I'm going to give you the low-hanging fruit here. Who is it?
Well, I mean, come on. You didn't mention that Markstrom, the former Utica Comet?
Right? Well, I was waiting for my speech, but...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you just stole my thunder. Thanks.
Here's the weird part, right, is I want to say Shesterkin because obviously he is the most of that group. He has shown the most. But you really can't count playoffs. And
right.
Right? I mean, that's what they say.
Apparently the voting is all done at the end of the regular season, so exactly. They say.
But I do think that Shesterkin takes it here with the low-hanging fruit. I'll go with him. Mostly because, like, I didn't really pay much attention to him during the regular season. I mean, he was just kind of go along, get along. I mean, he was getting his wins. He only had 13 losses on the season. But I think that's, for me, that feels like low-hanging fruit. Maybe too low. But
yeah, right.
I think he takes his first Vezina.
All right, Dave.
Shesterkin.
Yeah, I didn't think that was. Yeah.
You didn't think I was going to even think about anything else.
I don't know, though. I mean, sometimes you do that whole contrarian thing just to rattle the cage a little bit.
No,
it works out for you sometimes.
It does, but no, I think he's a clear winner.
Yeah. So this is and again, of course, former Utica Comet Jacob Markstrom, right?
Yeah.
At first, you're going to say, or at least in my eyes, yeah, it's Shesterkin all the way. How does he not win it? But you look at the numbers, and Markstrom had a great season himself. He was the workhorse in Calgary. Yeah. Granted, I know he only played he played 10 more games, only had 1 more win than Shesterkin. I get that. Relatively close in GAA and save percentage. and Markstrom had 3 more shutouts than Shesterkin did. But it's Shesterkin because without Shesterkin, the Rangers, I think you pointed it out very, very, astutely, I still think they would have made the playoffs because I don't think Alexander Georgiev is that bad of a goaltender.
Right.
But I mean, and actually they were able to keep Shesterkin relatively fresh too by not playing him as much.
Yep.
Even though for a while, I think he played like 20 straight games, but I do believe he was injured for a little while too, as far as I can remember. But yeah, it's going to be Shesterkin. I mean, all the talk that he got basically, and it doesn't help that he plays in the biggest media market in the world.
Well, that's the big thing, right? So Markstrom toils in the West in Calgary. Yeah. I mean, and I know that you being a Kings fan, like you watch way more late games than I do.
Right.
Damn, even if the Caps are on a West Coast road trip, I'm only catching about 50% of the games.
Right.
I'm not staying up.
Right.
10:30 puck drop.
And I will say too, I think Markstrom is helped out a bit by Daryl Sutter's defensive system. He's a great goaltender, don't get me wrong, but Sutter's
they play that neutral zone trap that really shuts other teams down.
Exactly. So, well, it looks like we got a clean sweep here. All 3 of us are going with Shesterkin for the Vezina.
We're probably all wrong.
I know, right? Yeah, now watch him. Sorrows wins it or something.
Yeah, exactly.
By the way, Drew, you know what I just thought of?
What's that?
We should have had our cousin Chad on here, the gambling man. That'll be next, right? He's going to be texting us tonight. Oh, tonight I'm betting on the award show because our cousin Chad bets on everything. Everything.
That's why I said last night, I'm like, you're picking chalk. These are the guys that are going to win.
I know. It's so funny because like every game, we have this little group text going, all right, guys, so what do you think of these picks? I'll wait to respond to him on purpose just to watch him sweat. But up next is the James Norris Trophy given to the best defenseman in the league. And the finalists are from the Tampa Bay Lightning. Victor Hedman played in all 82 games this season, scoring 20 goals, 65 assists for 85 points with 36 penalty minutes, and he was a plus 26. Up next is his counterpart in the finals, Mr. Cal McCarr from the Colorado Avalanche. He played in 77 games, had 28 goals, 58 assists for 86 points to go with 26 penalty minutes, and he was a plus 48. And last but not least, from the Nashville Predators, Roman Josi. He played in 80 games, had 23 goals, 73 assists, 96 points with 46 penalty minutes, and he was a plus 13. Dave the Save, impart us with your pick, would you please?
I channel the force.
Yes.
And I say Hedman.
Ooh, Hedman, going with the old veteran. All right. I like it. Why?
I've not watched the other twos very, very much. Hedman I've watched, and I just like how he plays. There's something about him.
That's fair. I mean,
leadership.
I'll tell you. Well. I'll be honest with you. I didn't realize he scored that many points this year until I actually looked it up for this. I'm like, I mean, and you know what? And he played a full season, which is very difficult to do in the NHL, especially
playing defense.
Yeah, exactly. Drew, who's your guy?
Cal McCarr is the best defenseman in the league, bar none. I know he's young. He's a phenomenal player, like absolutely phenomenal. I love watching him. I love to watch the guy skate. Not only does he play amazing offense, look at his defensive prowess. He is also a shutdown defenseman as much as we talk all the time about defensemen either being a puck-moving defenseman or a stay-at-home defenseman. McCarr does both. His speed overcomes everything. That being said, he's not going to win the Norris. It's going to be Josi. It's going to be Josi because
that was ridiculous.
Because Nashville runs their offense through a defenseman, and so this is no slight to Josi. I mean, he's a great player, but just the way that Nashville's system works, he's going to get a lot of points and he's going to get a lot of recognition for the way that he plays. And I think that Josi wins the Norris over McCarr, and I think that McCarr is going to have Norris trophies in his future that are going to fill his closet at some point if he stays healthy. But I just think that it's not his year this year. I think if you were to count the playoff stuff like we talked about before, that he probably would make it a lot closer race, but I think Josi wins it.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I think Drew and I are on mind melt here because you basically said that everything that I was going to say. Yeah, Cal McCarr is a multiple-time Norris Trophy winner in the very near future.
Yep.
Let's not kid ourselves here. But the very fact of the matter is Nashville's offense would be nothing without Roman Josi.
Yep.
Nothing. And he plays a very, very good defensive game as well.
Yeah, right.
And as impressive as Victor Hedman's 85 points are, as impressive as Cal McCarr's 86 points are, you know what? Roman Josi's 96 points are just a little bit better.
Yeah.
And for the simple fact that he, like I said, he is the driver of the offense on that team. And just like I said, that the fact that he's very good in his own end, it's got to be Josi. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, and and it feels like
the sexy pick is McCarr, but nah, it's Josi.
And I think that that when we talk about those delineations between defensemen, puck moving or stay at home defensemen, I think that people use that to slight someone's defensive ability. And I think that Josi is as good defensively as anyone in the league, and also has the ability to, run the offense. So, I mean, It's definitely not a slight to him to call him a puck-moving defenseman as opposed to a stay-at-home defenseman, but he's still a great defensive player.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right.
I feel left out in the cold.
No, this is just, you know what? You never know. This might be the one.
And Dave, to your pick, honestly, I think that these the voters, they get tired of people. And I think that Hedman's been in the mix for so long.
Because he's too much of a veteran.
Two cups. I think that people are like, this guy's got a lot of trophies.
Yeah. You know what? I think there's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah, and I think that the committee's looking for some, that they're going to vote for somebody new, which is why maybe McCarr sneaks in and grabs it, but I just don't. I'd have a hard time voting for McCarr over Josi this year. I mean, and I'm a giant McCarr fan, so. Yeah,
absolutely. But you know what, Drew? That's a very good point. I think you're absolutely right. That there's years where they just we have, almost like with Bergeron in the Selke, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We're just going to vote for him because that's who we always have. And then all of a sudden somebody comes along that puts up comparable or maybe even a little bit better numbers. Like, whoa, we've got a choice this time.
Somebody's different. That's
Imagine that, right?
Right. Freshness. Yeah.
It's like when you have drumsticks every day for 2 weeks and then you get
we got a sugar buzz.
then you get like popsicles or something.
Then a sugar buzz that just won't go away.
All right. Last but not least, the Hart Trophy. The Hart Trophy is given to the league's MVP, most valuable player. You know what I always found interesting about this? It's the Hart that it's not spelled like Heart. It's like Bret the Hitman Hart. I always love that myself. But anyways, sorry, old wrestling reference there for you, pal. But anyways,
didn't get it.
I'll send you a video.
Okay.
Anyways, the candidates are from the Toronto Maple Leafs, Austin Matthews. Austin played in 73 games, scoring 60 goals, 46 assists for 106 points. He had 18 penalty minutes, and he was a plus 20. From the Edmonton Oilers, Connor McDavid. Connor McDavid played in 80 games, scored 44 goals, 79 assists for 123 points. He had 45 penalty minutes, and he was a plus 28. And third, interestingly enough, is Igor Shesterkin, the goaltender we've already given the Vezina Trophy to from the New York Rangers. I'll give you his numbers one more time just so you got it fresh in your head. 53 games he played in, 36, 13, and 4 was his record, 2.07 GAA, 935 save percentage with six shutouts. All right, Drew, I'm going to throw the hardest one to you first.
Well,
who's your Hart Trophy winner?
All right, I don't think Shesterkin wins it. I think he does catch the Vezina. It's really difficult to win MVP as a goalie. Now, there's always been talk about like, what does most valuable player mean, right? Is it most valuable to your team, most contribution to your team's success? Matthews has a great surrounding cast. He's an amazing player. Like sometimes when he has the puck on his stick, I'm amazed at how skilled he is and how small a space he can put the puck in. I think it's tough for a goalie to win MVP. Because although you're on the ice all the time, maybe the goalie should win MVPs, right? These other guys are taking time off. I think McDavid wins it. Imagine the numbers that McDavid would put up if he wasn't splitting all those big time points with Draisaitl. Right? He is as unselfish a player as he is a sniping goal scorer. I mean, And the way that he plays is, I mean, McDavid is, if you watch him compared to some other superstar players, he's an end-to-end rush guy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? His rushes are phenomenal. And we saw a flash of that with McKinnon in the Blues series when he went end-to-end and roofed it to put St. Louis up, right? And I think that McDavid, like skill-wise, speed-wise, I think that McDavid is your guy. I could lean, I could probably be sold Matthews, but I think McDavid wins it.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, that's a good point. Dave, who is your MVP?
The guy I call Conor McGregor. McDavid, yeah. I did that all through the.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Any particular reason, or just because he's got a cool name?
No, he's exciting on the ice. Yeah, I think that end-to-end, just the way he gathers up speed, and just he's impressive to watch.
Very good. Very good.
But the hard thing there is, and I mean, Scott, we've talked about this too, is that like you watch Sidney Crosby and he makes everybody on his line better. I don't necessarily think that McDavid does that.
That was my point. That's why I was going, when you were talking.
I know I struggle with that.
Because when you say unselfish, I get what you're talking about.
Right.
But the very fact that for them to really drive offense like they had to against the Kings in game 6 and 7, they couldn't separate Draisaitl and McDavid.
Yeah.
Draisaitl is supposed to be their second line center. So that actually hurts the team in the regard that it takes away your center depth, which is obviously what you need to win.
Yeah.
But let's not kid ourselves. Conor McDavid is the most exciting player in the league beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
Now, Austin Matthews did what we just said Connor McDavid really doesn't. Makes players on his line better.
Yeah. Because
he made Michael Bunting a finalist for
the Calder trophy candidate.
Right. So there's that. And Igor Shesterkin, to me, is about is a very qualified candidate to be in the MVP race as well, because you're right, he's on the ice all the time. The only thing that's working against Shesterkin is he only played 53 games.
Yeah, and so I think it hurts you to be a rookie and be in the MVP race too. Like I think they're looking to reward somebody who's been in the league and showed performance over time.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that part too. And it's been, Carey Price was the last goaltender to win an MVP.
Yeah. So
I look at it as, what would this team be without this particular player? Okay. That's kind of how I judge an MVP. Like I said, I still think the Rangers make the playoffs if Shesterkin is even normal. Okay. I'm not saying forget he wasn't going to be gone, but let's just say that he was normal or above average, because he was practically superhuman when he played.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But even if he was just normal, I think with them having Georgiev there, they at least make the playoffs. I'm telling you that right now. I believe that in my heart.
He almost made me a Rangers fan.
Oh, good guy.
By himself.
Really?
Yeah. No, seriously.
You were going to trade in your Buffalo Sabre fandom for one guy.
Yeah. That way your dad would like me.
Oh, boy. You really want Gumpslav that bad? I mean,
yeah.
Trade
jerseys.
Hey, well, listen, I mean, not for nothing. I didn't go over to the Rangers, and, he says he still likes me.
I haven't heard that. I heard you guys fighting in the parking lot all the time.
No, that's just how, that's how Kinvilles communicate. Don't worry about it.
Okay,
that's
all right.
I really wanted to go with Austin Matthews here, but Austin Matthews also has the luxury of having John Tavares, Mitch Marner, William Nylander, Morgan Riley on his team. So there are an awful lot of other parts in Toronto that you got to worry about besides Austin Matthews. Whereas in Edmonton, once you get past McDavid and Draisaitl, where's their depth, right? And for McDavid to do what he does without that type of depth, I got to go with McDavid here. I do.
Yeah, it's tough though, because it's really hard to say just compare it to so does that mean if I'm a superstar, I want to be on a crappy team so I can be better?
So you can get MVP,
right?
Well, really what though?
No,
that's kind of the opposite though, isn't it?
Well, no, because if you're
not making the playoffs, what are you doing for your team?
Right, but if you're accounting for 40% of your team scoring, then who's more valuable to their team than somebody who's doing that, right?
Right, that's true.
It's a combination of things, right? It's a combination of also success of the team generally. And does it hurt Austin Matthews that he has Mitch Marner on his line?
Oh, no.
It certainly
No,
helps him. But does it hurt him in an MVP voting situation?
Right.
It may, because because Marner is going to get his, and he's going to get a bunch of goals and assists, and those are goals and assists that are happening when Austin Matthews is on the ice. I mean, I totally agree with you about McDavid, but it's just the MVP is such a weird category, right? It's like, is it MVP of the league, MVP of your team?
Yeah, what is it?
Right. Who do you want to see? But I mean, I think we're all in agreement that McDavid wins it. I mean, he's just, if you talk about just a generational talent who does it himself, like, that's it. I mean, I love watching him. I mean, when he comes to Washington, like, I try to get Caps tickets for those games just to watch him. And I mean, I hate it because I'm always on the edge of my seat when he touches the puck, because something good happens every time he's on the ice.
Right. Well, that's
dangerous.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, and by the way, I do have to say that, when I say that, well, maybe the MVP, his team didn't make the playoffs. I just want you to know that I'm still traumatized from when Mario Lemieux ended Wayne Gretzky's Hart Trophy streak, and he didn't make the playoffs.
Right. That's a tough one to swallow.
That hurt. That hurt a lot. So I think that's about it, right? I think we've covered all 4 categories here.
Yeah.
And, well, I think it's time for a commercial break.
Let's do it.
All right.
Visit My Little Falls and stay connected with the latest news, information, and events in the city and the area. Our mission is to generate interest in the community and connect residents in a more meaningful way by facilitating deeper conversations about how these stories will shape the future of the Mohawk Valley. Join thousands of weekly visitors who stay up to date with feature stories, interviews, videos, our event calendar, and print publication, the Mohawk Valley Express. It's about timely local news for the community, keeping citizens informed about important issues, telling about the people who live and work here, and giving locally owned businesses the opportunity to reach a very targeted audience of locals and tourists alike. It's a whole new form of media-rich content developed specifically for today's mobile lifestyle and listeners. You can download our iOS app in the iTunes Store, listen to our country music streaming radio station, or sign up for a weekly newsletter. Stop by today at mylittlefalls.com. You'll be glad you did.
By the way, if you're watching on the YouTube, you'll notice I was looking down. Oh, I forgot to get a breakaway trivia question put together, and I was trying to stall. And I thought Dave was going to say something. I was like, let's go for. He's like, let's do it. I go, wow.
I saw the look on your face. What, you didn't want me to do it?
I'm like, oops. Well, that's all right.
All right.
So, anyways, we'll say breakaway trivia for next week, I guess. So, Drew, the coaching carousel continues in the NHL. I think we've gone through all of our firings, and now we're getting some hirings. 3 interesting ones since the last time we've talked. John Tortorella is back in the league with the Philadelphia Flyers. Bruce Cassidy, who was unceremoniously dumped by the Bruins, has landed with the Vegas Golden Knights. And today it was announced, well, those Vegas Golden Knights, they fired Pete DeBoer, but he's now the Dallas Stars head coach. So let me ask you a question. Which of those 3 coaches is going to make the biggest impact next season with their team?
Well, I think it's interesting. I love the Tortorella hire in Philly. I had read some reports that they had offered Barry Trotz up to $7 million to come to Philly, and Barry didn't want anything to do with that situation. I think the ownership group in Philly has a lot of problems. I probably wouldn't want to go there to coach. But just from an entertainment standpoint, I love Torts to Philly. That is a great personality match. He is the hothead, fiery, just insane. Listen, if he doesn't win a Stanley Cup, he's going to have a heart attack and die. Like, that is just how it's going to go. But I'm here. I am here to watch that circus. I love that guy. I think who's going to have the most impact? I think that Cassidy puts Vegas over the top. And I really, interestingly enough, I wish that we were talking to your In the Rink buddy, who's the big Bruins fan, because they had talked. Apparently, Cassidy had talked to management the week before, and they said, "Hey, you're not going anywhere. You're still going to coach this team." And then a week later, they're like, "Nah,
Yeah.
You're gone. The
You're
GM
done.
is like, no, you're gone. No, I think that Cassidy is a competent coach. I think that they have a great roster in Vegas. I think that DeBoer probably lost the room at some point, as they say, right? He's been there for a long time. They didn't get the big breakthrough to win it when Gallant took them to the finals. But I think that Cassidy is going to provide that rudder that's going to steer the ship straight. Now, the DeBoer to Dallas thing is kind of interesting. I don't know a whole lot about the Stars organization generally. I know that they have some talent, right? I mean, they have how many number one picks? You got you got Jamie Benn there. They have some players. I think you might have too many veterans for DeBoer. I think one of the reasons that he was successful in Vegas was that he had some young players that really looked up to him, that he was shaping. But I have no idea how he's going to do with that veteran group in Dallas. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, that's a curious pick to say the least. But as much as you want to bust on Pete DeBoer, he has taken 3 teams to the Stanley Cup Final.
Yeah, he's a great coach.
So I mean, you can't deny that he's a great coach. Tortorella, you're right. That's going to be so much fun with him in Philly.
I am here to watch that.
I want to see the picture with him and Gritty. That's what I want.
Oh my God.
I don't want to see him and Gritty brawl.
and he has no patience for that kind of stuff.
No, not at all.
So great.
Not at all.
So great.
Even though I will say Torts has got his work cut out for him.
He does.
Because that's really that Philly's a team that's going to be just in full blown rebuild mode.
Yeah.
And Torts is one of those guys that he can get on his players' nerves quick. It's all or nothing with Torts, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I love him. He speaks his mind. He doesn't care what anybody thinks. What he says is fine.
Yep.
But his players either completely buy in or they're completely ready to launch him out of the room.
Right.
And it usually is within about a year. So I almost wonder if this isn't almost like a stopgap. You know what I mean? So, okay, well, we don't really see anybody out there that we really wanted since Trotz told us he's not coming here. Let's bring in Torts. And we'll reevaluate at the end of the year or at the end of next year, right? It's not surprising to me that Trotz did not go to Philly because he's pretty much already said, I don't want to coach too much longer. I want to go into a front office role, which is why I still think he's going to wind up in Winnipeg. I'm telling you, I think
so too. I read that he just bought a house in Nashville where he coached for a really long time. And
you mean he didn't have one from then?
Yeah, exactly. And I also know that Trotz has a special needs son. So,
really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he does. And he does a lot for autism charities, like a ton of work there.
Oh.
And I think that I'm pretty sure that he started a big organization in Nashville. And I think that that's probably why I'm not saying he's going to Nashville. I agree with you. I think he's going to Winnipeg to go to his hometown to kind of run the string out. And then he's going to be done coaching. But I think that he's probably targeting a front office position with Nashville. And it's probably something that he's earned just because of the time that he spent there.
Sure.
And anywhere he goes, Mitch Korn goes. So your goalie's going to be amazing.
Right. Oh, Mitch Korn with Connor Hellebuck.
He's the best goalie coach in the league. And so, yeah, I think he does go to Winnipeg. And I think that makes sense for him. Although $7 million, that's a lot to turn down. That's a lot of money to turn down. But you know what?
Yeah.
He doesn't want the headaches. He knows that Flyers organization, the front office is a disaster.
Right.
And I don't think Torts cares, which is also why it's going to be a great watch.
I mean, I don't think it matters really what Torts does. I don't think the Flyers are going to climb out of the bottom half of the Eastern Conference this year. I think of those three, that of course Cassidy is going to have the biggest impact, but it may not go the way people think it will. And I'll tell you why. Because, I mean, and all my buddies inside the rings, their heads are probably going to explode when they hear this. But
here they go.
Bruce Cassidy and Connor Green said it when he was here a few episodes back. The players got sick of him in Boston. They got sick of him, right? They were tired of his heavy-handedness. They were basically tired of his way, or the highway. What's he going to in Vegas? Okay. He's going to a veteran-heavy team that if he gets on their nerves, that could spell trouble, okay? Yeah. Not only that, this is a franchise that is under the gun to win right now.
Yep.
because they got no wiggle room on the cap. So, I mean, it's basically, here's what you got. Work with it. And I'm going to say it right out. I'm just going to come right out and say, basically, I think what a lot of people are thinking. A hard-nosed coach like Bruce Cassidy with Jack Eichel. Jack Eichel couldn't get along with Ralph Kruger, who is the nicest guy in the world. How's this going to work? How is this going to work? A hard-nosed coach like Cassidy telling Jack Eichel what to do. Oh, that's going to be interesting.
Eichel's going to be injured anyway.
Well, but here's the other thing with that Vegas team, right? You bring up a great point because you've got Eichel coming off a major neck injury. I mean, it didn't affect him last season when he came back yet.
Right.
And, I hope it doesn't because you never want to see injuries affect a player. Never, ever. But you got Mark Stone coming off major back surgery.
Yeah.
Right? So you've got two key players right there that you're playing with a house of cards right now.
Right.
Pardon the pun, being in Vegas,
fragile.
right?
For sure. Definitely fragile.
So you've got that. You've got no wiggle room. You've got no prospects coming through. And you've got a coach. He's going to come in and lay down the law. And sometimes that works. No doubt about it. Well, and I'm telling you, the linchpin here is Eichel. If he doesn't buy in, that's going to be a major problem.
I think he'll respect that strength coming in.
You think so?
I think so. I think a strong guy like that, if he's a good, strong guy, I think he'll respect that.
I think they're going to have to win early.
Yeah. Well,
because I'll tell you what, if they struggle out of the gate,
everybody sucks.
Yes.
Right. If they struggle out of the gate,
that's
I'm telling you, it's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. I mean, winning cures a lot of those ills, right? I mean, like you said, if they get out early, get some dubs, start putting together some strings and some streaks and start getting some dubs, I think that Eichel buys in, right? It cures everything. As long as you're winning, it cures everything. And when Cassidy started to lose the room, honestly, that Bruins team was on the decline. I don't think it had anything to do with Cassidy. I mean, they had a bunch of older dudes that were, you still had, great great players, Pasternak and Marchand. As much as I hate him, he's a great player.
Right.
And a healthy Bergeron, which he hadn't had for, he's been in and out of the lineup for the last couple of years.
Sure.
But that's a veteran group. And you're right. They've been playing together a really long time. I don't think that they want to deal with somebody yelling in their face to get at it. You have to be here a half hour before the game. You have to be on the bike.
Right.
No, these guys are veterans. They know what it takes to win. I don't, like you said,
to be perfectly honest with you, I thought Cassie might have been a better fit in Philly.
Interesting. Yeah.
You got a younger squad like that. Maybe that's what they need, somebody to come in and lay down the law, right?
Yeah.
Torts is going to
lay down the law too.
Yeah, no doubt.
Like I said, I'm glad that they're in our market, so we're going to see Phil. We're going to see
that
happen on a nightly basis.
Great. It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be awesome. I don't think they're going to win. I think Philly's a long way from winning.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt.
If Torts gets him winning, he's going to be a god in Philadelphia.
Oh yeah. Oh, no doubt. No doubt about it. But no, like I said, seriously, I think that that Bruce Cassidy in Vegas is, and this is a very unpopular opinion, but that could seriously go south in a hurry as well.
I agree. I think that it's not going to go medium. It's either going to go
it's all or nothing,
or it's
all or
nothing. Down in flames. Yep.
Yeah. And it's very interesting to see, and you bring up a great point, what's happened in Boston. That because apparently the general manager there, Don Sweeney, didn't want to fire Cassidy. That came from up above. Team president Cam Neely said, no, he's gone. And so there was a lot behind the scenes. I don't know if there were players going to him saying, we can't stand this guy anymore, blah, 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 blah. But now Bergeron's a free agent. He might not be back.
Yep.
There's rumors that he might actually go to Montreal to finish his career out because that's where he's from.
Yeah.
That's where he's from, right? Or he could just decide to retire. And now did you see and of course it's all rumors and all that, but you see that possibility of Pasta getting traded?
I can't imagine. If I were a Bees fan, I'd be losing my mind if that happened. Who's going to sell the Dunkin' Donuts coffee?
Yeah, right. Well, whatever team he gets traded to, that's who. But yeah, so I tell you, I think seriously, starting even next season, Eastern Conference is going to start looking a lot different.
Yeah,
and I think there's going to be a lot that starts looking different. Honestly, you're going to have the Bruins on the downslide. I think the Penguins are going to start, sliding down a little bit. You got teams on the rise. You got the Sabres. You got the Devils.
Yeah, I mean, I think
really
you're
looking for next year, along with the Red Wings.
Yeah, I think
make things interesting.
Yeah, I think you're looking at an aging Capitals team too. That's
sure.
I mean, we talked about the Backstrom injury and what kind of rehab that may involve, like
especially if he can't come back. Oof.
Hip resurfacing, and you have $9 million tied up, right?
Yeah. I mean, granted, you may LTIR him, but that doesn't matter in the offseason going into the season.
Right. You need him on the ice. And you look at these teams that have won and been at the top of the standings, and I think it's going to be a little bit more of a battle now. I mean, you got the upstart Rangers, who are going to be super competitive next year, as long as Shesterkin's even half as good as he's been in the playoffs. Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're going to look at a standings board that's going to look different than we're used to seeing over the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years.
Sure. And you know what? Even to that point, even for Vegas, right? I mean, everybody suddenly thinks that because they brought Bruce Cassidy, they're a lock for the Pacific Division. Not necessarily. If Edmonton can manage to get themselves better, get some defense and some goaltending in there in the offseason.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think Edmonton's just a few players away from a much deeper run.
Not to be a homer or anything, but nobody expected the Kings to pull off 99 points this year, and they're loaded with young talent. Vancouver's getting better.
Yeah.
Vancouver really is. I think Calgary was kind of a smoke and mirrors kind of thing, but that Central Division is still going to be extremely tough, and especially, I'm telling you right now, if Barry Trotz goes to Winnipeg, watch out.
Yeah, it's going to be
watch out, because that team's got talent.
Yep,
they really do. So
I think your point about the Sabres is interesting. Youth and talent.
Yeah, exactly.
You're stacking those picks after losing for so many years. You got some players coming in, they're loaded.
Exactly.
I mean, they may not be superstars yet, but they're not garbage players by any means.
No, not at all. I hate to say it, but I almost can't wait for the summer to get over so we can get back to hockey already.
I know. Like I said, I think before we even went
started the summer yet. What are you talking about?
I know.
It hasn't even shown up.
Like we said, even before we went on the air, it's like I love watching these Stanley Cup Finals games, but every one of them is a reminder that we're getting closer and closer to the end of the season.
It's almost like watching the last episodes of your favorite show.
Yep.
The series finale. Yeah.
It totally is. And I have to give kudos to my wife that she's really been clearing the runway for me to watch these games, because I mean, we're in the midst of swimming and camp and getting these kids here and there. And she's just like, nope, Dad's watching the finals tonight.
Awesome.
I'll read to the kids.
Awesome. That is awesome. I'm very fortunate that my kids are older.
Right, they can put themselves to bed.
Dad's watching hockey. I'm going to my room. That's it. Oh, well, I think that's about all the time we got, guys. I mean, there was a lot more, but we could probably go for 2 hours, but we won't. We're going to save some for next week because, damn it, we're not taking a break next week. We'll still have so much more to talk about.
Drew, are we awarding the trophy next week?
I think so.
You think the cup's going?
Well, you're looking at Game 4 tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it's every other night.
Yeah.
From there on out. So I think we're going to be talking about a champion one way or another. And
good.
We'll have to discuss some of the we'll see how our picks matched up.
Oh yeah.
We'll see how that goes.
Oh, for sure. That's tonight, right?
Yeah. So we'll definitely have some fun. But Drew, thanks again for coming on. I love having you here as a co-host. This is great.
Oh, it's great. Yeah. I love being here. I mean, there are a few people that I can get nerdy and talk about pucks with. So I love it. It's not dinner time conversation, but I love it because I have someone to talk to.
Absolutely. And of course, Dave, your knowledge just impresses me more and more every week.
Hey, what can I say?
Yeah.
Dave's a beauty.
Absolutely. Just so you know, you can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course at martyslegalstick.com. Also check out some articles InsideTheRink.com if you're looking for some brand new hockey content every single day. So for Drew Bray, for Dave the Save Warner, I'm Scott Kinville. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week on Marty's Illegal Stick Hockey Podcast.
Right.